What's up, everybody? Now, I'm gonna tell you so- something here. And when I read this title, I had to laugh out loud because, I mean, to what extent? Thinking about this, let's read the title together. The U.S. Army is developing the world's first universal turbulent, turbulent, scariant medicine as original jabs await final approval. I'm convinced, guys. Reading this title, I was convinced, and now I'm gonna have a change of tune. No, not at all. And what this points out to me is as soon as the narrative dies off for one of their medicines, well, hey, we've developed this new other one that's going to stop, future turbulent variants. Turbulent. You get the point here. And I bet if they make this available, people will be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take this. This will be good. This will probably be the fourth medicine they'll take, aside from the third one they've already taken. But they'll say, no, this is the end of it. The fourth one will do it. And then the narrative will die. And along with that will come something else. And they'll be like, oh, I got to get this one too. And so it's just a perpetual cycle that never ends. You know what I mean? And reading this, and you probably hear my dog in the background. She's trying to play with me right now. Anyways, this is where we're at, folks. And I was having a conversation today with some individuals, and to hear their how should I say, to hear their reasoning behind why they chose to receive the medicine was astonishing. And I could literally pinpoint every single thing contrary to what they were discussing about. But that's not how you approach it with people, at least not in my opinion. What I did was I asked questions. I was like, okay, what do you think about this? Oh, what about analyzing, this data and this, I asked questions around it. So it opens up the conversation so people don't shut off quickly. And remember, I've been talking about that middle portion of people who've gone along with it, but, could still be awakened and convinced. I don't want to say convinced, but they could go and see why, the bigger picture. And the way to do it is you have to be gentle about it. You have to be understanding because you don't know from what angle they approached it. And I think by asking questions to them and making them think and slowly bringing them up to this realization, will they be able to understand? Because you can never do it through forceful means. That never works. You have to be very gentle, understanding, and bring up questions that will make them think. And it's a sad reality that we're living in because everything has become so politicized. You can't even have a discussion without someone getting up in arms about it. And I think that, like I was saying in my last video yesterday, that you need to, in order for you to really understand what you're standing on in terms of principles and foundations of your morals, you have to have done the research. And if you haven't done your research, how are you going to convince someone, or not convince, how are you going to explain to someone about what you believe? you can't. You just can't. And yeah, I could be talking about the universal scariant that's coming, right after this past scariant that just occurred or is occurring currently, that whose name shall not be announced on this platform because of the overlords. But I'm speaking reality here, folks. And I'm gonna kind of transition here because I want to talk about the energy crisis in Europe. Because this all, while it may be different sectors, such as this is health, right? The energy sector is also a crisis that will affect health too. And you're seeing that energy prices in Europe have multiplied multiple times, up to 10 times. And you think about it, if you're paying $100 for energy, for electricity, right, for your bill, that's paying, and if you were to get the bill that these Europeans are getting, you'd be paying $1,000 for what you usually pay for, that is $100. That's not sustainable. And that's a crisis that eventually will come here to the States. I was listening to, I believe it's Southern Prepper. It's one of the YouTube channels. And he made an interesting point. He said that people in the 1880s were living in areas in which they could survive, right? So areas that had enough water, that weren't going to get flooded, right? You could grow food. And he was bringing up the point of, if we have a grid down scenario, and I've been talking about power outages, right? Global power outages. You recently saw that nations got together to plan and practice what it would be like if a global cyber attack happened and the financial system came down. So, anyways, as this Southern Prepper guy on YouTube was talking, he was saying that if a scenario like that happened, what are your surroundings like? Would you be able to survive a grid down? Would you be able to plant food, grow food, have water? Or are you dependent on water being taken to your area? If there was complete anarchy, right, and the governments were shut down or for whatever reason, could you still will you still have a source of water, right? Will your area get flooded, etc.? These are all important things to think about. Because once this narrative ends, and make no mistake about it, once this whole scariant, universal, whatever you want to call it, once that ends, climate change is next. And you're starting to hear the whispers. So prep accordingly. Be mindful of the narratives floating through. So, without further ado, this is the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.